All right, everybody. Today we're going to try to get through the second Red Scare, or what you see up here is the Red Scare 2, the Korean War, and maybe some other things. But let's go ahead and start with the second Red Scare. It's the same thing as the first Red Scare. People are afraid of communism. As you can see down in this picture right here, is this tomorrow? Everybody's wondering, is America going to fall to just chaos and communism? And then we've got this picture over here. Uncle Sam, of course, always represents the United States. He's on his boat. That boat represents the Titanic. Everybody said it was unsinkable. Well, the red iceberg has already sunk Poland, Hungary, North Korea, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, and just recently China. And as you can see, there's more and more countries that you can't see in the picture that are following the path of going towards communism. So, Republicans had a harsh criticism of Truman because he was really not perceived to be that tough on communism. We had seen the Soviets acquire the atomic weapon. We have also seen China fall to communism, all underneath his watch. And so that really, really hurt him. And so Republicans going into the next election are going to make a push to be very anti communistic in their view. And so this really accumulates and creates mass hysteria when one guy, we'll see a picture of him later on, Joseph McCarthy, he's at a women's rally trying to give votes, and he he senses that he's losing them, like they're becoming disengaged, and he's like, "Hey, how in the world am I going to get these women interested in what I have to say?" And so, out of nowhere, he pulls up a piece of paper that's folded up. He says, "In my hand, I have a list of 142 known communists within our own government." Truth is, really didn't have anybody on that list. Women became quickly interested, as well as everybody else in America, and this created this mass hysteria. And so Joseph McCarthy now has to kind of go on this witch hunt or to go find these communists because, like I said, he doesn't have anybody on that list. And this creates this mass hysteria in a country that really doesn't need it at that point in time. Now, Joseph McCarthy will become what is known as HUAC's leader, and HUAC is the House of Un-American Activities Committee. Him, a future president, uh, Richard Nixon will be on there as well, and their job is to go out there and find a bunch of communists. Another thing that happened in America at this point in time is that we're going to have a group of people known as the Hollywood 10. The Hollywood 10 were asked to complete a survey of what the role of communism was in Hollywood, like how the films were depicting it. And 10 people decided, you know what, I ain't got time for your survey. Leave me alone. Let me go work on whatever I'm working on. And because they wouldn't complete the survey, they were automatically labeled as communists. They were blacklisted. And you don't know what blacklisted means. That means that your name is placed on a list and it's sent out to a bunch of people. And when you're looking for a job, they pull out this piece of paper, they see your name there. That means do not hire. So they had a really tough time going forward. And we'll see a picture of them in just a second. And also, we're going to see some people being convicted for espionage or spying on America. Some of them rightfully so, some of them maybe not so rightfully so. Here's Joseph McCarthy up here. Pretty guy, right? And as you can see here, here's a very famous cartoon. I've seen it on several state tests. Good thing is we don't have to worry about that. And you can see McCarthyism is going around. Here he is. He's smearing people. We have these people, they're trying to run. They don't, if you're in the civil rights movement, you're trying to hide from this guy because he's going around saying, oh, you're a communist. You want to make everybody equal, all that kind of stuff. And so Uncle Sam's just like, what in the world's going on here? You see, this guy, he's running from a petition because he's afraid that he signs this petition, he's going to be labeled a communist. And you can see here that they're asking the Republicans to really stand on McCarthyism. And as you can see, McCarthyism is not a very stable thing. So the smart people in the Republican Party trying to avoid this. And Joseph McCarthy's movement falls apart when he has to sit in front of a nationalized debate with the Senate and this thing is being recorded on national TV, and everybody sees that this guy has nothing more fake news. He's got fake letters, doctor photos, and nothing stands up. After that, his movement finally falls apart, but not until he's already done a lot of damage to a lot of people. So, of course, we just talked about what was his downfall, and we're going to see the correct answer is A. It's broadcast on national television. So our next question is, where did Senator McCarthy first announce that the State Department was infested with communists? Well, we said that he was at a women's rally trying to gain votes. So, where would you do that? And the answer is going to be D, campaign rally. Here's the Hollywood 10. We got some famous people in here, most of them unknown. The most famous person, Paul Robeson from the 1920s, first major African American person to break it big into Hollywood. There are more than 10 people here. That's because these are family members as well. See here, they're trying to get off of this blacklist. We mentioned something about spies. We got Alger Hiss up here. He was a spy. They found him guilty of lying to the Senate, lying to HUAC, lying to a lot of people, and they really give him a slap on the wrist for everything. Our next guy, Klaus Fuchs, is a physicist that worked on the Manhattan Project, and he's going to be doing a lot of spying. He's going to be drawing detailed pictures of the fat man and the little boy, and he's going to be sending them over to the Soviets. Not only that, he's really showing and telling the Soviets how to make this weapon. The reason the Soviets got this weapon, or the atomic weapon, so fast and faster than what everybody predicted was because of Klaus Fuchs. Now, he only gets 9 years in prison, and then he gets pretty much deported out of the country and has to settle in East Germany. He was fine with that because he was a known communist. Now, our next group of people, Ethel and Julius Rosenberg. There's been some conspiracy theories about how much they knew, if they knew anything at all, but in the end, they were convicted of spying on America, and they were American citizens. And the American government really wants to make an example of them. They probably did not deserve death sentence, but they got it and they were executed in 1953. They are the first American citizens to be convicted of espionage and sentenced to death. So, got Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were charged, convicted, executed 4. And let's look at all our choices, and we should see that these two people who were very loosely associated with nuclear science were killed for that. Next question. Sorry, I jumped the gun on that one, but here, we didn't talk about it. But the guy who was, credited for making the atomic weapon, he had a lot of friends that were, and family as well, that were communists. And so a lot of people are like, let's kind of keep him away from some classified materials and things like that. And so we're going to get through the Korean War. It looks like we, or at least started anyways. So the Korean War. Korean War, as we know, we have Korea today. We have North Korea and South Korea. We're pretty good with South Korea. North Korea, we kind of shaky at times. Our president has actually gone over there to meet with them. So maybe things are getting better. Korea was a country that was going through a civil war, just like China. Part of it wanted to become communist, just like China eventually became, and part of it still wanted to become, democratic. And so they're fighting each other, and they kind of get invaded by the Japanese, and they're like, "Hey, let's just chill on fighting each other and fight the Japanese." And so the Japanese are out, but a new person or a new group of people come in, and they are the Soviets. And so as the Soviets start to roll in, they say, "No, we're going to keep North Korea apart." And so they're going to divide Korea along the 38th parallel. And I'll show you that on a map in just a little bit. We get there. So the Soviets take the north part, United States is like, okay, if you're going to take the North, we're going to have to take the South. And so both sides were promised that they would be able to vote and reunite with each other. That was promised the same thing was Vietnam. We know how that worked out. The Soviet North pretty much won in the end. And so, out of nowhere, June 25th, 1950, a Soviet-equipped North Korea soldiers just invade. Now, the Soviets couldn't invade themselves because if they were to invade, then that would be an act of war against the United States because we pretty much had a treaty and alliance. A common theme in the Cold War is that the Soviets are pretty much going to take a hands-off approach to establishing hotspots in this war, and we are going to have to do a more hands-on thing, but disguise it politically as something else. As you can see here, it doesn't say U.S. forces. It says UN, United Nations forces, or CNN, to stop the spread of communism. So that's why a lot of our boys are going to go over there. Interesting thing about the UN is that we pretty much have to carry the load of it. So for every 100 soldiers that were over there, I guarantee you probably around 95 of them were American GIs. And so the first question we have here about the Korean War is, why did this conflict begin? Well, we just stated that North Korean army invaded the South. So this will have to be an unofficial war, because if we declare official war, then the Soviets might do the same thing. Before you know it, this whole thing escalates, and we didn't want that. We had just got done fighting 5 years ago, World War II. Our boys were tired of it. A lot of great ball players like Willie Mays, he gets drafted and has to, go fight in this war, even though he did play baseball for the U.S. Army for the most part. Um, but a lot of people are going to have to go over there and give their lives. And so, in this unofficial war that we're in, we pretty much have to police it. That's the term, police or protect South Korea. And we have to do that because if we do any more, the Soviet Union, as you can see here, and possibly China could get involved. And so those troops, which are mostly American soldiers, are going to be commanded by this guy right here, who is Douglas MacArthur. Douglas MacArthur, as you know, was a famous World War II hero. And he comes in all gun ho, no nonsense. He wants things to get done. He wants to win this. And he's going to stage a daring attack and invasion of Incheon. Now, Incheon is, of course, this question. Incheon is right here on this map. You can see how this map kind of progresses. This is probably where we'll end for today. North Korea and South Korea were pretty much split along this 30th parallel. And then the attacks started happening. As they roll in, South Korea is reduced to just this green area and a couple islands. Of course, Douglas MacArthur lands on these islands right here, gets his forces together, and takes his forces on boats, because he's a Navy man at that point in time, and brings his soldiers over to this area, which is known as Incheon. They land on the shores of Incheon. Now, the thing about Incheon is that this beaches, where there are no beaches, it's pretty much just a cliff, and then it's just water. And so his soldiers have to wait to the right tide. Of course, it'll be high tide when the water's the highest. Uh, and if these ships come in the wrong way, they're going to bang up against those rocks, and a lot of American GIs will sink. And so what they do is they take ladders and they climb out of their boats onto the cliffs and invade that way. It was a very dangerous strategy. It was a daring strategy, but it worked. Because you can see after that, MacArthur just pushes and pushes and pushes all the way to where North Korea has just very little on the map. But then there will be some problems. And that's where we're going to pick up tomorrow. As you can see here, North Korea will kind of push this back. And when this armistice line, when North Korea surrenders, this will be the end result, looking a lot similar to this right here. So overall, when this is all said and done, victory for containment. I'll see you later, or talk to you later. Take care.